statement. We'll open up the floor for questions.
I don't have much to say today. It's obviously disappointing to lose a game at home in that fashion. I thought our kids battled towards the end. The only thing I want to say is that I think the state of the end of the game is on me. So that's what I'll say.
Going up on the floor for questions. Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll start Garrett Short there in the back.
Coach, would you elaborate on what you think is on your shoulders about the end of the
I
game?
mean, I think when you go down the stretch, number one, I felt like I called the timeout. I should have told the ref that I was going to call a timeout. I felt like I called it before the ball was inbounded, but that wasn't the case, I don't think. So, not that that's the reason. I mean, there's other things that went on. Obviously, 66 points in the paint, 24 second chance points. Their big kid had 23 rebounds. That's been plaguing us all year. But I felt like that being said, we had the game won. So I thought that kind of stunk for us. We still should have been able to execute, but then I thought our shot selection down the stretch wasn't great. We were trying to play Camille through cramps. That wasn't, exactly working out well. I think she wanted to play, but I probably could have helped her out there. So I just, I'm going to go back and look at it, but it seemed like especially after that first overtime, the wind just got taken out of our sails. So that to me is making sure that we're prepared for the moment, that we have trust in each other to execute, that we're communicating well on the floor. We got mixed up with a couple of play calls. And so, I mean, to me, that's, as a leader, that's on me, right? So that's what I mean. I think from the end of the game where I felt like we had it won through the overtimes where our kids were battling, that there were moments that they should have been able to execute a little better and win the game. And so that's what I mean by that.
Jace, go ahead.
At the end of the first quarter, the score was 19-9. What do you think went correctly in that first quarter that didn't go as correctly in the other quarters?
I feel like we played with intention on defense. I felt like we were picking them up and creating things out of transition with our defense. It's no secret that, again, that we lack a little bit of size. So I think they started to go inside. I think, too, when we don't get stops, when they get buckets and people are starting to pick us up full court now, we've just struggled with that. So I felt like in the first quarter they only had 9 points. We were getting stops and being able to get out in transition. So not being able to hold on, and I thought the second quarter was awful. It was one of the worst quarters that we played all year. And so the momentum shifted a little bit there for us, and we were never really able to grab it back.
Aria, go ahead.
Yeah, Shea, what went into your decision to kind of use fewer players and fewer subs once it started going kind of into overtime, double overtime?
Felt like the group out there was the group that was communicating the best. I felt like they had an idea of what we were wanting to do, especially offensively, and I thought Maddie was having a great game. So really the question, and it wasn't a huge one, was, going offense, defense with Mitch. Thought she made an impact when she got into the game. But then obviously Camille provides a lot of offense for us. So trying to do that doesn't always work out the way you want it to. So I felt like the group that we had in there was the group that was playing the best together. And so that's why I left them in there. And they showed no signs of fatigue. So I was really confident in that. Really the question was, how much do we play Mitch?
Elena, go ahead.
You kind of mentioned the size that allows Mississippi State to rebound so well. Do you feel like anything else, contributed to their success from your end?
I mean, there's size, but you can't say that we did everything correctly, right? I think we didn't box out. I think when they beat us off the dribble, we get into bad rotations. So our guards have to drop down, or whoever's opposite the ball has to drop down and box out on the other block. So a lot of times they would throw the ball over the basket and they would just get a layup on the other block. So our rotations weren't great. And even when we weren't boxing out. So you don't just have a lack of size and get out-rebounded by, what was it?
22.
Yeah, 22. So I think there's an intention and an energy there, too, that we lacked when it mattered.
Aria, go ahead.
Yeah, what kind of went wrong for Michaela today, and what do you do with that going forward?
I think she just had a tough day. I think, you know, for her, she's still growing, she's young. And so we have to make sure that when she has days like today, she turns a page from them. You take what you can from a day like today and you learn, and that's players, that's coaches. I mean, you just take what you can from a day like today. That's the only way you can look at it. So for her, it's making sure that we turn the page. We learn what we can from today. We figure out, you know, what were the struggles for her, whether they were physical or not, and how can we improve on those so that, you know, in a couple of days we're ready to win a game.
Garrett, go ahead.
Coach, not every team has someone that's 6'6" that can do the things inside that they were doing to you guys. Is that
Yeah.
something that you think about when recruiting comes around of, hey, you know, you can't teach that stuff?
Yeah. We don't not recruit big players. We've tried. We're going to continue to try, and we'll get the players that belong here and that are supposed to be here. So we recruit the right kids that fit our program, that fit the mold of Vanderbilt, and so we go out and we're really good at it. We just haven't been able to get one of that size here yet, but obviously that's a priority.
Elena, go ahead.
How does a double overtime game just kind of impact, especially the starters, with a quick turnaround you all playing on Sunday?
I mean, it can't. You can't look at it as a negative impact. You just have to turn around, get some rest, come in tomorrow, and make sure that we have recovery and get the right nutrition in them, and then prepare for the game on Sunday.
Last question, Grace Hall, go ahead.
Coach, we mentioned about Michaela's offensive struggles earlier, but one player that may have kind of fallen under the radar, their performance this game with the loss, was Madison Green. She had 17 points total. What did you see out of her when it felt like at times, like as you mentioned, the second quarter, she scored 9 points at, you know, she was keeping your team in this game at points where it felt like not much else was going your way on the offensive side.
Maddie's a bulldog, and she prepares really well. And I know for her, it's important that she can come in and make an impact. We talked the other day with her about what she can do in the moments that she does get in. She brings a lot of great energy and defensive energy. And I think it lifts our team up, and it provides her opportunities on the offensive end where she doesn't have to work too hard. So I thought, you know, for large portions of the first half, we shared the ball well, and that's how she got some open threes. I mean, Camille and Michaela attract a lot of attention. So if we can continue to learn from double and triple teams and move the ball a little better, then we'll get wide open threes. And the kids that can knock them in, like Maddie, will be able to do so.